Hey there. Are you sick and tired of your Steam Deck, Legion Go, or ROG Ally quitting before you're ready to power down? Well, I've got news for you then. I've got a couple of battery banks here that you might be interested in checking out. So give me a few minutes to show you some of my favorites. Let's get right into it. Before you rush off to buy anything, and in case you're new to handheld PCs and overwhelmed by all the choices in power banks, let me share some considerations like a buyer's guide for you. So, if you only care about power banks I've tested and reviewed, and to tell you which are my favorites, do go ahead and skip to the second part. Thanks. So here's part 1, the buyer's guide section. When you're buying a power bank, you might want to consider the following. The first is that your power bank has at least 65 watts of output in at least one of the ports, so that the devices can use the highest TDP or performance mode. And while you don't need 65 watts for an LCD Steam Deck, for example, you should choose so that you can potentially future-proof yourself. Do note here that some retro devices will only really power from a USB-A port. So if you're wondering how you can figure this out, because companies do like to play fast and loose with their numbers, here's a quick little formula. Looking at the bottom or the back side of the power bank might be one quick and dirty way to find out how much power the device is actually getting supplied. The next thing to consider is capacity, because just like the rated output, companies like to play fast and loose with those numbers, because
even bigger number for bigger better.
A common red flag that I often see is that companies will add all the ports together to give you a higher watt number, or they'll only list the battery bank's values in milliamp hours. This way, they can get some massive 5-figure number on their Amazon page. Why this matters, of course, though, is mainly for carrying on a flight, since you can't take anything over 100 watt hours. Well, I mean, you can try, but it'll probably get confiscated. And here's the filthy math formula you can use to calculate the watt hours from the milliamp hours and volts. And more importantly, once you have this watt hour value, you can get a rough estimate of how much battery life you have with your handheld. For example, if your ROG Ally or LCD Steam Deck has about 40 watt hours, that means that a 90 watt hour battery will roughly triple your battery life. Why triple and not more? Well, I'm not an engineer, but as I understand it, it's because of energy loss during transfer. Another thing to consider, unless you're planning on giving someone a brain injury or throw your back out, is that you want something relatively portable. This is obvious, but I mean, you could connect your handhelds to one of those big chargers, you know, those solar ones. Hey, that would make a pretty good Oh, and real quick, before I forget, there are so many types of these types of power banks out there, and you might even have something like this lying around, or it's the cheapest thing on Amazon. Typically, these things deliver from 22.5 to 30 watts, so it might be enough for your LCD Steam Deck, or if it has a USB-A port, it might be good enough for your retro handhelds. But they might not be ideal for your Legion Go or ROG Ally for that same reason. That said, if you're willing to do a little research, or you're able to mod using a 3D printer, you might find that there are numerous battery holders out there for Steam Decks and other handhelds. For Steam Deck, for instance, there's kill switches, and there's other things like this JSOX battery which can be strapped on to your Steam Deck. So there are numerous options. Alright, well, the last obvious consideration is price. Not all power banks are created equal, especially when we consider this. There might also be differing warranties if that matters to you. Okay, so here's part 2, some of my favorite power banks. Now first is this Ugreen 145 watt charger, which does essentially everything I need, including having a USB-A and USB-C port capability to charge both Steam Deck, Legion Go, or some other retro handheld. Now, full disclosure, they are sponsoring this video, but they are letting me say literally anything I want about this. So this might seem minor, but something I really like about this is that it comes with this soft touch bag, which keeps things very organized and tidy. And the LED display is also helpful for letting me know exactly when I need to plug it in. It also comes included with a power cable, but it is a shame that it's not braided, so I did have to replace that. This one is my everyday carry. Now if you prefer something a little less muted and want something a little bit more vintage looking, this one was originally my overall favorite battery bank, especially for the price point, because I actually really love the LED display, which shows me exactly the input, output, and remaining charge. And while the battery is plasticky feeling, and that might be a turn-off for some, the vintage space theme, I really dig. The biggest pain points for this power bank are that the cable that it came with, though being braided and metal tipped, had already failed pretty quickly after a few weeks. That, and it doesn't come with a carrying bag or anything, and I'm not sure if it shows up on the screen, but the LED front screen has already been kind of scuffed up. So yeah, there's that. Otherwise, this is a good bang for your buck battery. Okay, next up is my favorite, but not one that's my everyday carry, and you'll see why. This one is the aohi Starship. I take this one with me on long hauls. I like the cyberpunk type look and the display, which shows the input, output, and remaining charge. It also has a nifty feature where there's power pass-through, so you can keep it plugged in on your desk and it'll bypass the internal battery to charge your other devices. It also comes with a soft touch bag, which I unfortunately misplaced, so don't be an idiot like me and hold on to that because it does seem to scratch easily. The build quality is kind of a mixed bag. It feels both premium and kind of plasticky. And if there was one thing that I would nitpick, it's that I wish there was just one more port. And I mentioned earlier that this is not part of my everyday carry, and that's because this spaceship has 140 watt hours, which means that I can't take it on a plane. So yeah, this is probably best suited for long road trips or camping. Before I share my last pick, let me quickly say, hey again, thanks for clicking on the video, and thank you for helping me to get to 3,000 subscribers. Much appreciated. And thanks again to Ugreen for sponsoring this video. Make sure to help yourself out by checking out their Uno chargers and their power adapters. They got way too many to list in this video. And they're running sales all the time. And finally, here's the mobile dock from Vitcher. This one in particular is the Vitcher Pro mobile dock. I like this mobile dock because of the added functionality. Now with the Pro dock, you do get slightly higher wattage and you do get the side-by-side 3D mode, but neither are going to be powerful enough for your handheld PCs outside of the Steam Deck. That said, for the Steam Deck and the Switch, they do have these attachments which go on the back of the device to clip on the battery bank or the mobile dock. Yeah, I don't have footage of that because mine are buried in some boxes somewhere. But yeah, these are obviously good for AR or XR glasses users because they allow you to have output to 2 pairs of glasses. And they're also brand agnostic, so you can use anything, not just the Vitcher glasses. They'll work with Ray Neos or X-Reals or Rokids too. So yeah, there it is. What's in your everyday carry?